Why research sperm whales? Well, it turns out that those clicks you heard, they aren't just used for echolocation. Sperm whales and dolphins also use clicks for communication. And inside of those clicks is probably one of the most sophisticated forms of communication we've discovered on the planet. Could be more sophisticated than human language.
"3,000 feet down, in water so dark your eyes are useless. Something is coming toward you that is faster, stronger, and louder than anything you have ever encountered. You will not see it. You will hear it before you feel it, and you will feel it before you understand what is happening. This is the world a giant squid lives in, and this is the world a sperm whale has turned into a hunting ground. Most predators get weaker the deeper they go. Pressure crushes them, darkness blinds them, cold slows them down. Sperm whales are the opposite. The deeper you go with a sperm whale, the more dangerous it becomes. And once you understand why, you'll never think about the deep ocean the same way again.
This is the base of the food chain.
That's fantastic.
Let's start at the surface, because that's where sperm whales look almost harmless. They float, they breathe. They look like enormous, slow, gentle giants drifting along the waves. But that calm exterior is deceptive, because everything about a sperm whale is built for a single purpose: descending into total darkness and becoming the most efficient killing machine in that environment. At the surface, a sperm whale is just loading up. Oxygen in the blood, oxygen in the muscle, lungs full of air. It is, quite literally, charging its batteries before the real fight even begins. And once that charge is complete, it goes down. Fast. Here's where the danger starts compounding. As a sperm whale descends past a few hundred feet, the pressure starts doing something to its body that should be impossible. Its lungs begin to collapse on purpose. The ribcage folds inward, squeezing the remaining air out of the lungs entirely, so there's nothing left to compress, nothing left to rupture. Most animals would die from this. The sperm whale uses it as a survival tool. Because once the lungs are out of the equation, the whale isn't breathing anymore. It's running on stored oxygen, packed into blood and muscle tissue at concentrations that make human physiology look almost laughable. Twice the oxygen carrying capacity of your blood, 10 times the oxygen storing capacity of your muscle. A sperm whale 1,000 feet down isn't holding its breath, it's carrying an internal oxygen reserve far beyond anything most animals are built for. And the deeper it goes, the more that reserve becomes a weapon, not just a survival tool. Because down here, in water this dark, oxygen means time. Time means persistence. And a predator that can simply outlast everything around it doesn't need to be fast. It just needs to never stop coming. Now picture what's waiting for it. Giant squid. Some estimated to stretch over 40 feet, with arms lined in serrated suckers built to grip and shred. On paper, this should be an even fight, maybe even one the squid wins. It has the size, the reach, the weapons. But the sperm whale brings something the squid has never evolved a defense against: sound that can stop it before a single tentacle makes contact. This is where the depth itself starts working against the prey. Sound travels faster and farther in deep, cold, pressurized water than almost anywhere else on Earth. And sperm whales produce the loudest biological sound on the planet, clicks that can exceed 230 decibels. To put that in perspective, the loudest sound a human can survive standing next to is roughly 150 decibels. A sperm whale's click, at full power, sits 80 decibels above the threshold that would tear a human eardrum apart. Freedivers who have been near a clicking sperm whale don't describe hearing it. They describe their entire chest vibrating, like something physically punched through the water and hit them from the inside. Researchers studying this have proposed something unsettling, that sperm whales may not just locate squid with sound, they may stun them with it. A concentrated blast of acoustic energy fired at close range into soft, pressure-sensitive tissue in an environment where there is nowhere to retreat to and no way to brace for impact. We've never filmed this happening. Nobody has. The entire predation event takes place a kilometer down, in absolute blackness, in a place no human has ever directly observed. We only know it happens because of what gets left behind. Circular sucker scars raked across a whale's skin. Squid beaks, indigestible and sharp, found packed inside a sperm whale's stomach by the hundreds. Evidence of a war we've never witnessed, fought entirely in the dark.
So now you have an animal descending into crushing pressure, running on a hidden oxygen tank, armed with a sound weapon strong enough to potentially incapacitate prey before contact. And we still haven't reached the part that makes all of this possible in the first place. Inside the sperm whale's enormous head, the largest head of any animal on Earth relative to its body, sits an organ filled with a waxy, oil-like substance called spermaceti. At the surface, it's warm and liquid, but as the whale dives into colder water, that substance begins to solidify, growing denser, heavier. It works like a built-in ballast system, pulling the whale downward without it having to burn a single extra calorie fighting its own buoyancy. The deeper the whale goes, the more that organ solidifies and the more efficient the descent becomes. The depth isn't fighting the sperm whale. The depth is feeding the machine. But depth has a price, even for an animal this well engineered. Decompression sickness, the bends, is one of the most dangerous threats in deep diving. Nitrogen dissolving into tissue under pressure, then forming bubbles on the way back up if the ascent happens too fast. For a long time, scientists believed sperm whales were essentially immune, that their physiology had eliminated the problem entirely. Then, in 2002, a mass stranding of beaked whales along the Canary Islands, following nearby naval sonar exercises, forced researchers to look closer. Autopsies revealed gas bubbles in the tissue, the unmistakable signature of decompression sickness in a deep-diving whale. The conclusion was unavoidable. Even these extraordinary divers have a limit, and the only thing capable of pushing them past it isn't the ocean, it's us. Which brings us to the strangest part of all this. A predator this dangerous, this physically extreme, isn't a lone killer roaming blindly through the dark. It's operating as part of something far more coordinated. Sperm whales communicate using patterned sequences of clicks called codas, and those codas vary between social groups, almost like regional dialects. Calves take up to 2 years to produce a clear, structured coda, babbling through formless clicking sequences before they get it right, learning their family's pattern the way a human child learns to speak. And recent research suggests something even stranger, that individual whales may carry consistent, identifiable click patterns of their own, something close to a name. Now picture that capability turned towards survival instead of squid hunting. Historical whaling records from the 19th century show something researchers still find remarkable. Within just a few years of whalers arriving in a new hunting ground, successful harpoon strikes dropped by more than half. Too fast to be explained by the whale population simply shrinking, the leading explanation is that sperm whales were sharing information, passing on warnings, adapting their behavior across an entire social network, using exactly the same communication system built for tracking prey a kilometer beneath the surface. So here's where it lands. The deeper a sperm whale goes, the more dangerous it becomes. Not despite the crushing pressure, the total darkness, and the impossible depth, but because of them.
The pressure powers its descent. The darkness is where its sonar dominates, and a squid's eyesight is useless. The depth itself is the weapon, turning an animal that looks slow and gentle at the surface into something that, a kilometer down, is operating in an environment perfectly built for its own design. We are only beginning to understand what's actually happening in that darkness. The coordination, the communication, the violence we've never seen and only find evidence of afterward. And the deeper researchers look into it, the more it starts to feel less like we're studying a predator and more like we're catching a brief, fragmented glimpse of an entire world operating just beyond the reach of human eyes, far below where any of us have ever been able to follow.